So, one and done.
Yes, Dane.
A little more common than I think we even realize over the last 15 years, 14 years, whatever, 13 years.
This is only since 2010. Like, this is not a huge amount of time.
Yeah. So, Hugh Jackson, Malarkey, Chudzinski. I forget about Rob Chudzinski.
Yeah, I do too.
The Chud. If your nickname is the Chud, you should not be the top dog in charge.
Oh, Chip Kelly.
Tom Sula. Oh, man. That was a weird... That was basically a interim whole year.
Deserved.
Then Chip Kelly, Steve Wilkes. Poor Steve Wilkes. I don't think he really got a fair shake. Freddie Kitchens. Fucking forgot about that guy.
Freddie Kitchens. Yep.
Baker Mayfield survived Freddie Kitchens, and they still kicked Baker to the curb.
You know what's actually... Urban Meyer, of course, might be the most infamous on this list. You know what's even more disappointing? That Josh McDaniels is not on this list. I think like that's the most disappointing part about it. Because like in terms of like bad coaches, there's some not so great coaches. There's some inexperienced coaches on here. Yeah, Josh McDaniels was a bad football coach. He was
bad. And that's it. So was Urban Meyer.
Oh.
And Urban Meyer was bad on so many levels.
So many levels.
And it was, you know, when the Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett the following season, like I had to clarify that Nathaniel Hackett was a bad head coach on equal parts with Urban Meyer, but Urban Meyer also seemed like a dick. Like he didn't care about the team. Like there was a lot of other things going on with Urban Meyer that I think people wanted to put on Nathaniel Hackett, and it just wasn't true. It was douchey guy and very nice guy, just horrible at his job. That was like the difference there. And I remember like, guys, he's not like Urban Meyer on so many levels. Unfortunately, on coaching, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
and
listen,
then, of course, Lovie Smith, who set up the Texans, Frank Reich, and now Mayo. But I was like, damn, that is a lot. I thought it happened less than this.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you look at the teams who are on that list as well, right? So Raiders, it's been a little tough finding some success. Jaguars, they had it one, and like also you mentioned the Urban Meyer thing. That's also why I have like the utmost respect for Trevor Lawrence to also go through that. And I've heard stories about how he handled that entire ordeal, and I just have a lot of respect for
Trevor.
Yeah,
T-Dog's good. We like T-Dog.
The Browns are on this twice.
The Browns, the Niners, the Raiders, the Texans. Multiple offenders.
So like the Texans, they seem to be
and the Jags. Holy shit.
They're in a better place. Jaguars, they just fired their head coach, so they're kind of still going through it. The 49ers, I think consistency, you know, they've been pretty solid. That's been pretty good. Broncos, they found their guy. You know, Panthers, it looks like looked like maybe not, but it looks like there's some optimism.
Dude,
yeah.
It's the same 5 fucking teams.
Yeah, man. Like,
and the Raiders, they technically are kind of on here 3 times. Josh McDaniels a season and a quarter. And then Antonio Pierce was an interim last year. So like he got a half a season. McDaniels got a half a season. That's like a cheat. I think that's a cheat code they purposely did.
Because they were trying to avoid this list.
I think that 3 times.
The forefront of their mind. Yeah.
Damn.
Steven, it's going to be a challenge, man. I mean, the Eagles have a phenomenal secondary. It was their biggest need last year. They upgraded it tremendously. You got all pros back there now. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Guantanamo Bay going to lock them down.
That's right, Jordan. Give them a call. I mean, like, we've talked about this numerous times because, like, with Mayo, now there's stories coming out of, like, you didn't know how to discipline the players and, like, you know, couldn't control the locker room. And how the Patriots handled this, and I want to be very clear, too, because you and I talked about this on Monday, right? Like, we were having this conversation. And Robert Kraft came out immediately and was like, this is my fault. Like, I put him in an untenable situation. Like, it's on me. Which, at the end of the day, Mayo is the one who's still fired, you know? So, like, he's going to suffer the consequences of that. But I at least, like, respect that And that's kind of what we were alluding to, that while they had Drake May, right, they did not have a good offense. And it was just the lack of dynamic players there. And the offense had been struggling for a few seasons. The defense definitely took a step back. But to have a rookie head coach in there without any head coaching experience, like that's a tough gig, especially for a team like the Patriots. Because I feel like take the Steelers and the Packers, right? Because they're similar organizations in terms of, I would think, like expectations. That's why you have some Steelers fans that are pretty upset right now because they don't want the same old, we go to the playoffs, one and done, we have this winning record, blah, blah, blah. And we've talked about this a million times. I feel like with the Patriots, the pressure is there because of how successful they were and all the titles that they won, that acceptance of mediocrity, the acceptance of like being a bad football team, maybe a little bit of a shorter leash, because they're like, hey, we need to get back to our winning ways. And I've spoken about this a ton. I even spoke about this with Mark Murphy before. This was last year, 2 years ago now, 2023. Like, if Jordan Love wasn't the guy, how much of a leash does he have? Like, it's like, if he was like an okay quarterback, how long until they decide to move on and get somebody else? Because there's this expectation that once you're getting all those primetime games and you're getting the national spotlight and more people are buying jerseys and all that great stuff, like, that's very good for the organization. And as owners, you want to make money. And if you start being a terrible football team and you're not getting those primetime spots, yeah, I mean, the GM did put together the roster, right? Yeah. I mean, again, I think it turned into, there was some backlash that Jerod Mayo was kind of, I don't want to say gifted, but it was basically bestowed upon him. Like, this is who the new head coach is going to be. And I know some fans are like, well, are we even going to do like a process here? Like, are we going to do that? And I think if they did a full process and were a little bit more transparent with it, and they wound up with Jerod Mayo, like, maybe, there's a difference. But I mean, we were talking about Vrabel going to the Patriots as soon as he got, released from the Titans.
Yeah.
That was last year. So, what's interesting too? I think the Patriots have the worst roster too, out of the ones that you're talking about, because you mentioned the Bears, the Jaguars, and the Pats, right? I think the Patriots have the worst roster in terms of they just need a lot. Like, their defense, they've lost some key guys over the years. They still got some damn good playmakers, especially in the backfield. But like, they've lost a bunch of folks. That offense needs to get reworked. They need offensive line. They need receivers. Like, they need a bunch of things. But
okay,
I think just the consistency of the organization, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable with.
Davis Webb was not requested to interview. God damn it, I hate Twitter.